Foxtrot Bravo Bravo, pull up and go around.
Go around, Foxtrot Bravo Bravo.
The Tower India Echo Lima, downwind 13, touch and go.
India Echo Lima number 3, follow Cessna left base, turning 1 mile final.
India Echo Lima.
Foxtrot Bravo Bravo Tower, fly runway heading.
Fly runway heading, Foxtrot Bravo Bravo.
Charlie Zulu November, clear to land runway 13.
Charlie Zulu November, clear to land 13.
Zulu Sierra Alpha, change of plans, crossover midfield, join right downwind runway 13.
Zulu Sierra Alpha, crossover midfield, join the right downwind for 13.
If you like this video, please click the like button as it helps to expand my channel. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, please click the subscribe button. Greetings to Simair Flyer. I'm Dane Simair, and welcome again to another flight. Today we are in the island of Jamaica, and we happen to be at Kingston, Jamaica today, and we're going to be flying over the mountains to the north coast of the island, and then from the north coast we will make our way westbound to Montego Bay, where we will be landing. So we're in the A36 turbocharged Bonanza, and what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be using Beyond ATC one more time, but this time we're going to use it over the island of Jamaica to see what that's like, and see if there's any difference in the voice commands, to see how that Beyond ATC handles it in a different country other than Canada or the United States. So on the Navigraph map, show you where we are down here, and let's take that off. So we're down here in Kingston. We're going to be taking off on runway 12. We're going to be going out on the SID. That's called the Radix 7 departure, and we'll just overlay that onto the map. We're going to be taking off on 12. We'll do a right-hand turn to 342, and then we'll head out on the Kingston VOR, which is MLY. Right here, the Manly VOR, across the island up to an altitude of 8,000 feet, up to the Radix intersection, and at that point we'll be turning left, going over to the Senla intersection, at which point we will then pick up the Star into Montego Bay. I'll overlay that one, and that'll bring us along the coast over the Montego Bay VOR, which is the Sangster VOR, SIA, and we'll come out here, make a turn, and then come in to land on runway 07. So with all of that in place, as you may know by now, I don't often use autopilot unless I'm on a long leg. So what I am going to do is, I'm going to use manual flying, but I'm going to use my co-pilot to do the radio controls right at takeoff, and then from there I'll look after the radio controls, radio voice messages from there until we get over to Montego Bay. So that being said, I'm now going to get us back to the aircraft. I'm going to load up Beyond ATC. The aircraft, by the way, as you know, is already started. You can probably hear it in the background. Started, checked out, ready to go. Alright, let's open up Beyond ATC.
Beyond ATC connected.
What's it telling me? The star Omaxi 7 is not available for active runway 25 at MKJ. Well, I'm not using runway 25, I'm using runway 12. Please ensure you have the latest AIRAC cycle. Yeah, I have all of that, so that's okay. Download the flight plan. It's not happy with something, so let me pause the video and see what's going on. Okay, we're back. It seems that it didn't like the star that I had entered, so I've changed the star to a different one, and hopefully this will be okay. So let's see if we can get this show on the road. So I'm going to use the co-pilot to do the responses during this phase of the flight. So I'll turn the auto respond on. So let's pick up our ATIS.
Blue. Wind 160 at 14 light rate. Few clouds at 2000. Temperature 26. 2.22. QNH 1010. Landing and departing runway 12. Transition level 180. Advice on initial contact, you have information hotel. Norman Manley Airport Information Hotel.
Okay, so we've got information hotel. Let's turn into ground.
160 at 1.
Well, he certainly sounded like I expected him to sound, a good Jamaican voice. That's really awesome. Okay, let's turn into ground and pick up our IFR clearance.
November 6-2, 4 Delta Whiskey. Request IFR clearance to Sanctuary Airport.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, Manly Ground, expect runway 12, Radok 7 departure. Squawk 2430.
Radok 7 departure. Squawk 2430. November 6-2, 4 Delta Whiskey.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, read that correct. Call me back when ready for start or taxi.
Wilco, November 6-2, 4 Delta Whiskey.
Okay, so we've picked up our IFR clearance. We're using the Radok 7 departure, which I'm going to fly by hand, and we'll let the co-pilot do all the talking at this point. Request push and start. We request taxi to runway. We don't need push and start, so taxi to runway.
November 6-2, 4 Delta Whiskey. Request taxi to the active.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, runway 12 taxi via Alpha.
Runway 12 taxi via Alpha. November 6-2, 4 Delta
I
Whiskey.
just put in my squawk code, so... Okay. Let's head out to Alpha. Whoops, oops. I missed the taxi, Alpha. Let's get back over to Alpha. I was going out onto the active runway. That's not a good thing to do. Let's get back onto the taxi. Alright, we are now on Alpha. That's better. Going down here, take off on 12. Yeah, I got a few ships in the harbor. Kingston Harbor. Way off in the distance, looks like there's a cruise ship over there. Okay, I'm just going to stop here and make sure everything is, all the radios are set. We do have to get our VOR tuned in, and that hasn't been done yet, so I'll just stop here, just before the whole short. Just over here, and just set up our radios, make sure they're all in place. Okay, the VOR, the Manly VOR is 115.5. We'll put that into the VOR here, 115.5, and we'll swap that over. So we're going to be, once we take off and do our turnaround, we'll be heading out on the what radial is it we're going out on? Let's have a look at the radar departure. Radial 356. So we'll just tune that over to 356. We're taking off on runway 12, so we'll set our heading bug to 120. It's right down here. And then the only other VOR we need to worry ourselves about is when we get up to Montego Bay, and that is the Sangster VOR, and that is 115.7, so we'll put that into the standby over here. So that's in the standby. And we're going to be using the ILS 07 to land, which not quite ready to put that into the radio frequencies yet. So at this point I would say we are ready to go. Okay, so just a quick briefing again. On takeoff, taking off on runway 120. We'll fly out for 5 nautical miles from the MLY VOR. We'll make a right turn to 342. And that will then take us to the VOR, and then we'll go out on the 356 radial. So that's our plan. Alright, let's call air traffic control and get ready. Let's move up to the whole short. We'll just stop here at the whole short. Alright, let's call the tower. Request departure.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, ready to go. Runway 12.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, backtrack runway 12. Call when ready for departure.
Well, I just did that.
Backtrack runway 12. Call when ready. November 624 Delta Whiskey.
So that's wrong information.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, holding short, runway 12.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, Manly Tower. Wind 160 at 14 on runway 12, cleared for takeoff.
Okay.
Runway 12, clear for takeoff. November 624 Delta Whiskey.
Okay, I'll put in 1 notch of flaps. And let's get rolling. Airspeed is alive. 50 knots. 60 knots. 70 knots. 80 knots. Let's rotate. Got a little bit of a crosswind happening here. Gears coming up. Flaps are coming up. We're at 1,000 feet. Need to go up to 8,000. Okay. Alright, we're gonna make our right turn out now. Turn to 342. coming back over the VOR. We didn't quite go out 5 miles, but that's okay. We're just a GA aircraft, we're not an airliner. Alright, the CDI needle is coming in. We kind of overshot it a little bit. We'll turn back to pick up that 356 departure. That's exactly what we want there. So let's tune in our, I'll put the autopilot on now. Alright, autopilot is set. Take us up to 8,000 feet. We're going up at about 1,200 feet per minute. Now let's see what Beyond ATC has to say.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Contact Manly departure 120.6.
Contact Manly departure 120.6. November 624 Delta Whiskey.
Now it should change automatically on the panel.
Manly, November 624 Delta Whiskey, 5,200 feet.
I'm going to take the auto response
Delta
off.
Whiskey. Manly departure. Good day. Identified. Climb to 8,000 feet.
8,000 feet from November 624 Delta Whiskey.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Contact Kingston radar 128.1.
128.1 for Delta Whiskey. Kingston radar, November 624 Delta Whiskey, 6,200 feet.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Kingston radar. Radar contact. Continue climb to 8,000 feet. QNH 1010.
8,000 feet, QNH 1010 for Delta Whiskey. That's Blue Mountain Peak over there, by the way. The tallest mountain on the island. And to the west, we have the sun starting to set. Alright, let's have a look at Navigraph. So we're heading out. We're between the mountain ranges here. This is 6,400, this is 9,500. And we are presently at almost 8,000 feet between this portion here. We need to be above 8,000 feet right here, at or above 8,000. And actually that's where we are right now, 8,000 feet. We'll come out here to the coastline and we'll be turning left to 283 degrees at the Raddock intersection. There's Manly Airport down there behind us. This is the Palisados Drive. This is the harbor. And that's the Caribbean Sea out there. I am originally from Jamaica, born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica, but been living in Canada since I was 16 years old. Oh, it's kind of nice to get back and fly over my home country. So I do have it on autopilot, as you know, because at this point I don't need to fly it by hand. We're coming up to the coastline here. At some point we're going to be turning to a heading of 283 degrees, and we're going to follow the north coast. We're going to be going past the resort city of Ocherias before we get to Montego Bay, which is Montego Bay is way over here in the west. Should say the northwest. So far, Beyond ATC is doing a good job. There's no significant weather whatsoever anywhere around us. So I'll just pause the video until we get up to the coastline when we've made our turn on 283 degrees. So just looking at our flight plan, we've got 3 nautical miles to Braddock, which is our intersection where we have to turn to 282 degrees. Which will take us to Senla, which is the start. It's the end of the SID, the Standard Instrument Departure, and it's the beginning of the STAR, the Standard Arrival, into Montego Bay. Okay, looks like we're making our turn now from Braddock to Senla. There's the coast there. We've come across from the south coast, Kingston, over to the north coast. And now we're going to be heading west along the north coast. Got a nice sunset going on in front of us. So we've got 24.7 nautical miles to Senla, which, as I said, is the end of the SID and the beginning of the STAR. We'll just pause the video till we get closer to Senla. I think what we'll do now is tune in the Sangster VOR, which we already have tuned in. We just need to swap it over. And turn this on to nav mode. Now the pilot is just reconfiguring the position of the airplane. It's just to get us onto that 281 radio. There we are. And way out to the north of us, maybe 50 miles or so, is the island of Cuba. Sorry, not 50 miles. What did I say? 50 miles. About 80 to 100 miles, depending on what part of the island you're coming up to. But we're right on track here on the GPS. We're not using the GPS. We're just using the autopilot in nav mode. We have about 10 nautical miles to Senla, which is the next intersection. What we'll do is have a look at the Navigraph map. And we can remove the...
November 624
just a
Delta
second.
Whiskey. Expect radar vectors. ILS runway 07. Report ready for descent.
Radar vectors for ILS 07 and will report ready to descend. November 624 Delta Whiskey.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Expect radar vectors. ILS runway 07. Verify ready for descent.
November 624 Delta Whiskey is ready for descent.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Flight present heading. Descend to 5,000 feet. QNH 1011. Safeter Airport landing runway 07.
Descent to 5,000 feet, QNH 1011, landing Sangster Airport, runway 07. November 624 Delta Whiskey.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Contact Sangster, approach 120.8.
Okay, let's just start our descent and then we'll reply. .120.8, November 624 Delta Whiskey. Sangster approach, November 624 Delta Whiskey, 7,800 feet.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Verify information uniform.
Verify information uniform, 624 Delta Whiskey.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Thanks to approach. QNH 1011. Expect radar vectors for ILS runway 07.
QNH 1011, expect radar vectors for ILS 07, November 624 Delta Whiskey.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Turn left. Heading 265 vectors for the approach. Expect further clearance in about 7 miles.
Turn 265. Vectors for the approach, further clearance in about 47 miles. November 624 Delta Whiskey. Alright, let's put it on heading mode. Turn to 265. And we're going down to 5,000 feet. And there's our map that we've been diligently following the route. We're now turning to 265 as instructed. And this is the star. We are being vectored, so we're not going to fly the star, we're going to fly the vectors that he gives us into the ILS 07. So let's put up the ILS chart. That's our ILS chart, 109.5. We should tune that in on the radio right now. And it's going to be a course of 073 degrees. $10950. It's in there. And we'll swap that over because we're not using the VOL. Well, no, we won't swap it just yet. We won't swap it just yet, but we will set the course to 073. As we're using the heading bug right now as our direction. You can see on the Navigraph map we've come off course now. So we're strictly following the vectors into ILS 07. So we're not using the star. That's okay. We do as we're told. And we were told to descend to 5,000 feet. Pretty sure that's what we were told. Let's just check it here and see. It's nice that you can go back and look. Okay, let's continue climb to 8,000. Oh, here it is right here. This is where we were told fly present heading and descend to 5,000 feet. And we were told to turn to heading of 265 for vectors for the approach to runway 07, the ILS. So in about 47 miles. I didn't look at I should have looked at the timer. I should have set the timer, but that's okay. What's this message? Yeah, the GPS wants to keep us on course for the star, but of course we're being vectored in, so this isn't a happening thing anymore. We should probably remove that arrival. And put in procedure. LS7 vectors. So we are at 5,000 feet now. We are 11.5 nautical miles from the Sangster VOR, which is right at the airport. 11 nautical miles. I think we should switch our fuel tanks over. We'll just put the fuel pump on. Switch the fuel tank over to the right side. Take the fuel pump off. What's the temperature outside today? Looks like we're at about 18 degrees Celsius. About 65 Fahrenheit at 5,000 feet. Let's check the winds. Winds are 103 at 17 knots. Oh, it's pretty gusty. Pretty windy, 17 knots. Hence the ground speed. We've got an indicated airspeed of 170. And we've got a ground speed of 204. So we can't see the airport, but because of the clouds, but it is right somewhere out here. Yeah, that should be the airport somewhere right about there. Yeah, right about there is the airport. But we are following the vectors that we're instructed to follow. Not quite sure what the controller is going to have us do, because if you look at the map, this was our star coming in here and coming in to land at runway 07. But we're not following the star because he vectored us over here on a heading of 265. So I'm assuming he's going to bring us around to maybe the Linar intersection, maybe. I'm not quite sure what the controller is planning. That's the Omaxi, which is the initial approach fix. So that's probably where he's bringing us to. He's probably going to bring us around to Omaxi to pick up the ILS 073. That's probably what's going to happen. We'll just keep an eye on that as we go along.
November 62 for Delta Whiskey. Turn left, heading 255, descend to 4,000 feet.
Turn left. 4,000 feet.
November 62 for Delta
Yeah, I
Whiskey,
didn't answer
turn
him.
left, heading 255, descend to 4,000 feet.
255 to 4,000 feet, November 624 Delta Whiskey. Okay, so we went from 265 to 255. There's the Omaxi intersection. At some point he needs to bring us around here. But that hasn't quite happened yet. Airport is back there. We're coming down to 4,000. Oh, here he comes.
November 62 for Delta Whiskey, turn right, heading 330, descend to 3,000 feet.
Turn right, 330. Descend to 3,000 feet, November 624 Delta Whiskey. Okay, there's he's making our turn. And we're going to intercept this ILS right here. We better switch our frequency over.
Delta Whiskey, 7 miles from Omaxi, turn right, heading 030, maintain 1,800 feet until established on the final approach course, cleared ILS runway 07.
7 miles from Omaxi, turn right heading 030, maintain 1800 until established on final approach course, cleared ILS 1007, 624 Delta Whiskey. Alright, 1800 feet. Okay, we're heading down and we're on the course that he's assigned us to. There we are. We're going to pick up this 073 radial for the ILS. We just overshot it because I was talking and I wasn't paying attention. You can see we just overshot it. That's okay, we'll come back. We'll come back to it. I don't think we should be down this low though. I think 1800 was too low. Okay, we need to come back onto the, need to come back and pick up the ILS 073 because we overshot it. That's what happens when you're looking at maps when you're talking. There we are coming back on. Just wasn't quite sure about the 1800 feet. Maybe that was my misunderstanding. because we got some pretty high hills here. Okay, the ILS is coming back in again. There we go, we've picked up, we've centered the localizer. Runway is just ahead of us.
November 62 for Delta Whiskey. Contact sector tower 118.75.
118.75, 624 Delta Whiskey. Sangster Tower, November 624 Delta Whiskey is on final approach with the ILS into runway 07.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, Sangster Tower, wind 115 at 7, runway 07 cleared to land.
Winds 115 at 7, runway 07, cleared to land from November 624 Delta Whiskey. Oh, they've just added this, a declare go around. I didn't remember seeing that on previous flights. Alright, I'm going to take it off autopilot now. Auto has been kicked out of the cockpit. Runway's in sight. It's right there. We are a little high, but that's okay. There's a cruise ship in Montego Bay. Right, let's put our gear down. We've got 3 greens. We've got 1 notch of flaps. Still just a touch high, but I prefer to be a little high when you're over water like this. You want to have a really quick look at the Navigraph map. There it is, we're coming in. And when we land, we want to turn off, probably on taxiway Delta. Probably. Let's get lined up again. That's what happens when you go over to the map, when you start looking at the map. You lose concentration. So now let's concentrate on the landing. Alright, let's put in our 2nd notch of flaps. Looks like we've got some fishing boats out, some other boats. We're at 100 knots. Still a little high, but I prefer to be high. Right on the localizer. And now we're right on the glide slope. Let's see if we can increase this landing. Oh well, 153, that's okay, I'm fine with that. I should try and keep it on the runway, would be good.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, exit right at Charlie.
And let's see if that's where we are. Yeah, that should be.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, exit right at Charlie.
Yeah, we're at Charlie. Exit right at Charlie, 624 Delta Whiskey.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, contact ground 121.7.
121.7, 624 Delta Whiskey. Sangster ground, November 624 Delta Whiskey, requests taxi to ramp.
November 624 Delta Whiskey, welcome to Sangster Airport. Say parking or advise if need assignment.
Requests parking to FBO apron, A1.
November 624 Delta Whiskey.
They don't
say again
understand
ramp
that.
number.
The FBO apron.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Say again ramp number.
No, see, they only understand airliners with ramp numbers. And I don't really have a ramp number. Request ramp 4, 624 Delta Whiskey.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Say again ramp number.
Okay, let's forget that. So that part of it isn't working very well. So I am just going to head over here. What would happen if I said advise ramp 624 Delta Whiskey?
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Say again ramp number.
It's stuck in a loop. I'm just going to park right over here besides this other GA airplane. So the Beyond ATC went very well, except for when it comes time to park at your destination airport. That is definitely a problem. But it is early access, and we were told that to expect these things, and I'm fine with
November
that.
624 Delta Whiskey. Say again ramp number.
At that, I think I'm going to... Oh, maybe I could just click on the ramp. See what happens if I do
Request ramp 1
1A.
Alpha, November 624 Delta Whiskey.
November 624 Delta Whiskey. Ramp 1 Alpha taxi via Echo Alpha.
Alright, let's see what happens. Taxi via Echo and Alpha. Here, let's just flip over to the map. So we're there, and Echo and
November
Alpha.
624 Delta Whiskey. Ramp 1 Alpha taxi via Echo Alpha.
Taxi via Echo Alpha for ramp 1A, 624 Delta Whiskey. Yeah, this Beyond ATC is not yet set up for...
November 624 Delta Whiskey, Sangster ground.
Sangster ground, go ahead, 624 Delta Whiskey. Okay, so I am on Alpha now. And I'm coming up to 1A. One A is just a little bit further up. I'm just looking at the map. Okay, this should be 1A over here. In fact, 1A looks as if it's like GA airplanes. So here we are, that's 1A. I don't know if you can see that, but that's 1A right there. And that should be right over here. So let's go park there. In fact, it is 1A, but there's an airplane parked on it. That's okay, we'll just park right beside it. Yeah, that's 1A. That's okay, we'll just park right beside this one. Okay. That should take care of it for tonight. So, once again, thank you for flying with Simair Flyer. I'm Dane Simair. If you like the video, please press the like button, and if you want to see more of my videos, press the subscribe button. Pressing the like button helps to increase my expansion of my channel. So thanks again. See you the next time.
Foxtrot Bravo Bravo, pull up and go around.
Go around, Foxtrot Bravo Bravo. Tower India Echo Lima, downwind 13, touch and go.
India Echo Lima number 3, follow Cessna left base, turning 1 mile final.
India Echo Lima.
Foxtrot Bravo Bravo Tower, fly runway heading.
Fly runway heading, Foxtrot Bravo Bravo.
Charlie Zulu November, clear to land runway 13.
Charlie Zulu November, clear to land 13.
Zulu Sierra Alpha, change of plans, cross over midfield, join right downwind runway 13.
Zulu Sierra Alpha, cross over midfield, join the right downwind for 13.
If you like this video, please click the like button as it helps to expand my channel. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, please click the subscribe button.